I'm David R. How many people know me? Most. Wow. Okay, well, that's going to make my introduction simple. I'm a design engineer by trade. Most of you know that. Most of it's automobile related. That's my 3D sculpture making. Feel like Moses. But it got me into being able to apply sciences to what we do here in this realm, and which actually opens up a pretty big question to me. What is science and what is spirituality, and is there any difference? Some have called me too scientific to be spiritually good, and others have said, well, you're way too spiritual for me. So I'm like, whatever, make up your mind, okay? I'm here who I am. But I am a design engineer by trade. We've done a lot of different things. Well, we found out about around 2005, actually, it was time, for the universe to wake me up to what we do now. Not that I wasn't pretty spiritual before that, but very specifically. And through that, we had some challenges, some health challenges and things like that, which we were able to get through with some help from Doug, actually, too, which we really appreciate. And that set us on a course of, this is something that we really want to do. So let's go down this road. Still working, still doing my day job, but started applying those sciences to my day job. And as we went to places like Vesica Institute and studied their form of dowsing, which is vibrational radiesthesia, it's a little different than most everybody does. It's not, we differentiate it from yes-no dowsing, which we do, and we ask questions with our pendulum. But vibrational radiesthesia is you tune your pendulum to the frequencies of anything, any object or anything in your environment. So you can use it as a very key and accurate analysis tool. So that's who we are. And so what I want to ask everybody is, how many people have my holograms on their cell phone? Most everybody does. Okay, so let's switch it. How many people do not have my holograms on their cell phone? Couple. How many people have their cell phones here with them today that don't have my holograms on it? Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is, I'd have everybody do this. Take out your cell phone, leave it on, but turn off, put it on, mute or whatever, and just set it on the floor. Because what we've done is we've set up a holographic environment here, and what it's going to do is take our cell phones, and we're going to use our cell phones as an example of what's really going on with the EMF in our lives today. And hopefully, we'll have enough cell phones that don't have holograms on them and we can feel it, which is kind of a weird thing, because I don't want you to feel it, but I want you to feel it. Because there's been a lot of talk, actually pre-COVID, of 5G, right? And how it's going to kill us all. And everybody was frantic about it, and there was a lot of division about it. Like there's a lot of division going on right now. It seems like that's the name of the game. And so all of a sudden now there's not so many people talking about it. And my question is, why is nobody talking about it? Well, there's a little bit of talk about 6G, but that's not till 2030. And they're trying to get, the people amped up to it. But I mean, there was frantic things on cell phone, 5G going on, where birds were being killed in France, and and these things were true. But now all of a sudden, we're just not hearing about it anymore. So the question is, has it stopped? Has the danger stopped? I don't think so. And I see some of you shaking your head. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no. It's a situation where all of a sudden just nobody's talking about it, so we think that it has gone away. But it hasn't. It's actually still here. It's increased because they're putting 5G relay stations everywhere. They're on almost every street corner now. And we have 5G networks in our house as well. So they're bringing it home, and closer to us. But the real question is it still out there? Okay. Let's advance here. So as a design engineer, I look at our environment more in its physical form. But we also design for the invisible aspects of light, sound waves, forms, and frequency. As I mentioned, I do design for Ford Motor Company actually, and they don't know I do this, but we've created a what we call a lambda of numbers that has lengths, shapes, colors, radiuses, all these things that we have in our everyday environments, because everything's made up of straight lines and curves and whatnot. But there are certain lengths of things and colors and radii sizes, because that's a length as well, that generate beneficial energies. And we've been able to compile those and put them into a matrix that we can reference. So when we design something, if I have an angle that I want to put into something, I have a set angle that I know that will project a particular quality of energy for the environment. So we just started playing games with it. I didn't tell Ford or my customers or anybody that we were doing this. We just did it to see if we could accelerate their acceptance to our execution of their design, if that makes sense. Right? So we started putting these things in there, and we worked with, things that, resonate with the circulatory system, things that resonate with kind of more of a frequency of, goodwill and good feeling and whatnot. Kind of like red in a Chinese restaurant induces appetite. Right? So I would showcase it in a particular red that was a beneficial color, knowing that it was going to excite their emotions and get them physically, or mentally enrolled. So I was playing with their minds, which is fine, I guess, because I didn't hurt them. I guess not. Anyway, I mean, they love our designs. So we did that. And by putting that out into the manufacturing of these things. I mean, Ford does on one vehicle could be a million wheels over the time of its, product cycle of 4 years. And there's 4 wheels on each car. So there's probably 10 million Ford wheels on cars that we've done in the past that are spinning beneficial vortexes. And I figure, hey, that's kind of cool. I mean, it hasn't interrupted my karmic bag, so we must have done something good. But it just started as, let's get the designer enrolled in what we're doing and have an emotional, positive reaction so that when they critique it, and then we don't throw them, garbage designs. We're doing their design, but it helps them fall in love with what they've already done even more. So that led to multiple different, activities, and many of you know some of the things that I've made, and many of you have them, and they do work. So. What I'd like to do is, while I'm thinking about it, Bobby, can I have you? Those of you who do not have my holograms on your phones, can you please raise your hand? Good. Take your phone out of your case, because then we can use your phone. Super. In fact, you can use your case, or we can give you another one if you like. It's. No, leave it out of the case, but put your phone on the ground. Yeah. Yeah. Super. And Chad, why don't you come up a little closer, because you don't have, do you have your cell phone with you? Yeah, bring your cell phone, because there's not too many of us, and we'll just kind of be in a more of a close-knit corral here. Okay. I'm just going to breeze through some things that many of us know already. We know about circadian rhythms. We know about, what the sun does to us. But I'm going to talk about some of the practicalities to not necessarily EMF, but some of the practical aspects that are actually also harmful for us. And I'm not going to just beat up on cell phones, because there's cell phone towers, there's electrical high tension power lines. Many of us remember, they always told us don't live next to high tension power lines, right? Well, now everybody's living next to high tension power lines, and they don't know why they end up with cancer, and nobody talks about it. anymore. Again, it goes back to this philosophy: if it's out of sight or out of discussion, is it non-existent? No, it's still happening. People are suffering from electric cars. It's the amount of current in a Prius, which is just a hybrid, is huge. And we talked about this at dowsing conference, American Society of Dowsing. People are starting to realize that they're getting cancer from their Priuses, right? And because if you just take a trifold meter, which some of you know what that is, it's a way of measuring EMF in your environment. It's pegged on the floor, and that's when you just turn it on. You're not even accelerating, and you have to raise it up to your head height to get to 100 milligauss. But you're really supposedly safely only supposed to have 3 milligauss. So I am going to get into some sci-fi or some scientific terms. So if you don't understand, don't worry about it. Come see me later and we can talk about it. Because I don't want to burden you with the terms of science. I just want to introduce you to the concepts, and then just so gravitate towards grasping the concepts rather than the specifics. So very simply, our daily functions are set up with morning light. If you're living even 200 years ago or 150 years ago, there was no electricity in our environment. It was just natural EMF from the sun. And then your daylight told us to be alert and active, and at night it was time to sleep. But everything has changed now. We now have what studies are now confirming is the blue light aspect that's on our cell phone. So how many of us are looking at our cell phone right before we go to sleep? It's okay. It's not. You could say yes. Guilty. So if you look at what happens at that point in time, the blue light is actually messing with your circadian rhythm, and it's putting you into a daylight mode and neutralizing your body's ability to produce melatonin, quite simply. So now you've just added another 20 to 30 minutes before you can go into a sleep mode. On top of that, many of us have smart meters on our house. In fact, most all of us do. I put it on there before I knew any of that stuff, right? Although then after developing the first level of holograms, I went into my office and my smart meter was on the other side of the wall, and it was putting me to sleep. I mean, I didn't know it, but I was, literally, it felt like somebody was pulling down on my eyelids, and I could not stay awake. I went and took a nap, came back, instantaneously the same thing. So off I go to all my little fancy, pendulums that I have that are actually designed for measuring toxic, waves, and found a wave that at Vesica Institute they didn't tell us existed. Well, they told us it existed, but they just said quite simply, stay away from it. It's dangerous, and it is a dangerous wave. It's what we call the infrared spectrum. And that's just basically a term. I don't know necessarily if it's fully infrared, although it does apply to infrared lights and things that are in our environment. But the dirty aspect of it, or the caustic aspect of infrared, is what's actually causing us to have what they call electromagnetic sensitivity. So if I throw that term out, how many people think that they are electromagnetically sensitive? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've learned what it is, right? The question is, we flock to Google and we go, what will protect me, from my phone? Well, it's not just your phone. It's your Wi-Fi. It's your driving just on the road past all of the Wi-Fi towers, all the cell phone towers, the Wi-Fi that's in our cars. If you have a vehicle that's 2015 and newer, it is so full of Wi-Fi, it's just frying you, okay? And in a second, I'm going to get into the next aspect of what I really want to talk about. But by frying you, I'm saying it's messing with your natural anchor, okay? So it puts us out of touch with who we are. I mean, we're trying to relate ourselves to a spiritual environment or to a spiritual existence, but when we come down to it, what is a spiritual existence? If you're being constantly bombarded by EMF, how do you know if what you're feeling is authentic or if it's not a transmission? And that's something we're going to get into in a minute. is the transmissions, because the transmissions are real. So basically what we're talking about here is we're living in a world of invisible EMF, which is affecting our body's abilities to sustain themselves, to function properly. It is affecting our health. We just don't know it because it's very slow. It's over time. So back to blue light. Daytime, you want blue light. Okay? Nighttime, you don't want blue light. So we'll get into different aspects of avoidance and whatnot, but it basically proves that our bodies act as receivers for environmental frequencies. We're subject to our environment. We are where we live. We are what we eat. We are what we do and what we're exposed to. So if a system is rewriting your internal code, is that something that you'd really want to continually expose yourself to? I mean, I love my cell phone. It's my business, right? But at the same time, I realized that there was these aspects that were causing, major problems. Before I developed this holographic system, I was suffering from grinding my teeth at night hugely. I've got 3 root canals to thank for how much I was grinding my teeth. And I didn't realize it, but we had an electrical cable, literally something like this, and our bed was here, and there was a cable running from one side of the house to the other, and it was just frying me at night. And it's causing lockjaw, which is exactly what happens when you electrocute yourself. So it causes your anterior muscles to clench, and you can't let go. And that's what lockjaw is. That's what clenching your teeth is, right? So my first level of holograms, I cut that, worked with that. But that was just this ambient, almost ancient form of electricity. It's the original form of electricity, which it has clout. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to go living next to high tension power lines because they will have an effect on you. There is a kinetic energy associated with that. But it throws our body off of its natural rhythm, so it's affecting the way we think, the way we feel, the way we interact with other people. Are we tense? Are we relaxed? Studies with, say, smart meters. Every 15 minutes, your smart meter, flashes. It flashes its signal, right? And every time it flashes its signal, if you're in sleep, it pulls you out of your REM sleep and puts you into a light sleep. So it's interrupting your sleep patterns without us even knowing that that's what's going on, right? So these are things that are happening within our environment. And in a minute, we'll get to what we can do to accommodate that. But so, like it says here, light, sound, and electromagnetic energy are not just background conditions. They are real-time information streams which communicate with the body. Now, obviously, the biggest question is, as you look towards the right side of the screen, how does that affect your sleep, your mood, your energy, your circadian rhythm? The next one is something that nobody's really talking about. So I'm going to ask a question. Excuse me. How many people have been talking and then you look on your cell phone and there's an advertisement on exactly what you've been talking about, right? Okay. How about the next level? How many people have been thinking something and the next minute it's on your cell phone? No, and exactly. I said the same thing when I saw it too. I'm like, okay, who's listening to what I'm doing? No, they're not listening. This is my thoughts. Now, were they listening to your thoughts or were they broadcasting your thoughts to you? That's the difference. We always think, oh, well, of course we're spiritual too, so we have this ability to project our telekinetic capabilities even to our cell phones. It's great. No. The Havana syndrome is basically the best way to describe it. And I really encourage everybody here to just Google this thing and look into, Havana syndrome, but broadcasting. There's some really good, people that have talked about this. One doctor, I can't remember his name, but he wrote a book 40, 50 years ago. And it was about this broadcasting aspect. HARP is one of those broadcasting units. Tesla was looking into what was happening with broadcast signals, because he said you can actually send out signals to the general populace by bouncing them off the atmosphere and having them come back, using the planet itself as a broadcast carrier unit. And that's where the Havana syndrome comes into play. Basically, it proves the impact of direct energy is recognized at the highest government levels, acknowledges that surgical EMF projections, that's an interesting term, surgical, which means precise, targeted, okay, to small, relatively small groups of people, and now individuals, because you're carrying it around with you, this little broadcasting device, and it's in your environment all the time. So surgical EMF projections that can directly and severely impact the human nervous system. Now that gets into the next level. Can they kill you from a distance and just you? Right? That's morbid, and I don't want to get into that. But it's true, okay? Like, for instance, at the airport, we all, we're supposed to go through those scanners. Well, why are we going through a full body scanner? It can, it can ping every aspect of your body. It can, throw signals and then just puts it back into a library base. They still have a library on me, but I've never been through one of those. I opt out every time, and I make a big deal out of it. When they say, "Have you ever been through this thing, or have you know what's going on?" Absolutely, I've never been through that. And I get really loud, but nobody's listening. They're just mindlessly going through this system. But if you can target a group of individuals based upon their biological makeup, then you can do many, many different things. And I've asked myself the question, why are we having such massive migrations of populations of people in the United States? I mean, people are just packing up and leaving. Everybody goes to Arizona. It's great for your health and all that stuff. Or they go to, Las Vegas, or they'll go to Atlanta. And then all of a sudden you see deep state companies like Goldman Sachs comes in and provides all the provision for people to be there and to spend their life savings on new real estate. And it increases the tax base and everybody's happy. And I started thinking about that. And then when I started studying the Havana syndrome, I realized that there is a projection that's occurring. And the deeper you go, the more sinister it gets. So it's obviously called neuromanipulation for the official term. It's a biological interface. You have tactical delivery. As Tesla was saying in the third image here, you're bouncing it off the atmosphere and bringing it back in. Frequency, it's a frequency following response. So it's cause and response. So these are things that we are subject to every day. The key to it is knowing that this is actually happening, and then asking ourselves how we can neutralize that signal, how we can avoid the signal, but mostly how we can neutralize it, right? I found out about this also a few years ago during the elections, whichever one it was. I don't follow them that closely, but I'm sitting working on my computer, and my whole system is all done by Wi-Fi. I have no Wi-Fi, going on in the house. So everything's done with what they call Cat6 cabling, right? It's faster, it's, more efficient. And I'm like sitting at my desk working, and all of a sudden I'm getting this frantic, it was a frantic, signal in my mind saying, go out and vote, go out and vote, go out and vote. And I'm like, I haven't voted since Reagan. So, and I was disgruntled after that, and I said, I'm never voting again. But I'm like, where's this coming from? So, many of you have seen my pendulum that I use. This is what they call a universal pendulum. Yeah. This is that one. This is the sinister one, right? And it does measure multiple different things. So I was able to detect what this wave was and where it was coming from. It was actually coming from my computer cable as a solid line antenna, which follows in line with other signaling techniques where they, prior to the influx of computers, they would do it in the landlines, or the wall lines and lines to your lamp, and people could douse where it was coming from. They were, oh, it's coming from the lamp, or the cord that goes to my lamp, because they're all antenna systems. They're all copper, and they're resonating systems that carrier waves of this information. So let's see if there's anything else on this one. Okay, this is actually a pretty good wavelength. And in case you can't read it, in phase A, which is at the far left, you have the natural biological brain waves that we have in a sitting state. The second one is the external signature pressure, an induced signal from an outside source, and that's the blue signal. And then phase 3 is an entrained state. So what it's doing is it's a huge science. It's pretty incredible. It locks onto your external, presence. And then once locked, the brain mirrors the external frequency, and this mirroring effectively allows an external source or driver override internal brain function. In other words, it entrains to the signal that they're sending. Okay, it's a lot more complex than what's shown here, but this is it's a pretty good illustration. As we've spoken, it's based on a delivery mechanism that's already in existence today. Our antenna systems, our wire systems, our satellite systems, everything that we have, and now our data centers are even more so an active ingredient in this arena. I'm not even going to go there because that's just opening up a whole nother can of worms. But neuromodulation scales across every form as a primary biological exploit. In other words, it exploits indiscriminately. It doesn't care who we are. Although now it can be targeted to our brainwaves too. So it's really kind of a sinister environment that we live in. We covered that. Electromagnetical entrainment. Does everybody understand what I mean when I say electromagnetical entrainment? Right? You kind of get what I'm going with that? In other words, it's entraining us. It's effectively brainwashing us to a system that is a desired for a desired effect, right? So it's either for population manipulation, or actually, how much contention have we seen over the last 15 years? I mean, some say, oh yeah, we had celestial patterns that were the same as what we had during the Civil War. Well, if the deep state has every type of astrologer working for them as well, they knew full well that was going on. But at the same time, they're also broadcasting this action that causes us to contend with each other. I mean, isn't the whole principle of effectively waking up just being kind of, harmonious? I mean, not peaceful. Peace is not a good term, actually. Peace is a neutralizer. It neutralizes every aspect. But harmonious is a term that brings us together. And so I call it conscious co-creation, because we're working together, which is what we really should be working towards. So if you take anything away from this talk today, think about, is there any neural modulation that's going on in my environment, and how am I feeling? How am I reacting? What am I thinking? Should I turn off my television? Should I turn off my radio? Should I turn off the news? All news. I don't care whose side you're on. Turn it all off. And I don't know, go out in nature where you can, be amongst trees, because they'll absorb a lot of EMF. And just, sit for a moment and ask the universe these questions. Are we being manipulated? Is what I'm thinking right now actually real information? Oh, even if you have my holograms on your cell phone, leave your cell phone in your car. You go out into the forest that way. Just get away from as far away as you can from it for a moment, and take a minute to analyze what actually is going on in your mind. Why am I so frantic about this topic? Does it really matter? Can I do anything about it, right? Am I being effective by forcing this one mindset? Because centrality, I mean, if you look at any type of symbol, or many different type of symbols in any type of, I'm sorry, I'm going to use this term because it's not correct, but anyway, let's say any type of spiritual movement, whether it's Buddhism or Kabbalah, the Kabbalah, everything has extremes. In Buddhism, you have the yin yang symbol, and that all you well know what that looks like. It's got black and white. So if I asked anybody in this room, which side would you relate to, or which would you, if you looked at the yin yang symbol, and I take sides out of it, what would you relate to out of that symbol? Anybody? Anybody daring? Okay, good. It's the interstitial wave between the white and black. It's this wave, right? That's what Steiner called, Christ-like consciousness. I don't really like that term because it can get misconstrued. I call it source, right? Source is in the middle. The Kabbalah, you've got, this flat, the tree of life. You've got bars down the middle, and you've got right and you've got left. I like Steiner's, interpretation of that, where he says down the middle you've got this Christic source, in the center, but on the right you've got the Luciferic influence, and on the left you have the Aramaic, not Arab, Aramaic, Ahriman, and Ahriman is an entity, governs electrical impulses. We went into the age of Ahriman in the late 1830s, 40s somewhere, when electricity started to become was introduced into our environment. Ahriman started taking hold. So you have two extremes. You got the in that sense you have the angel of light, Lucifer, and then on the left you have this dark essence, which is Ahriman, and neither one should we have. In the Tao Te Ching, it talks about the great integrity, and when we finally reach the great integrity, which is harmony, then at that point in time, evil will cease to exist, say the dark. But it also says white will cease to exist. So neither is necessary when you're in the center, when you're in that interstitial position. I've covered all these things. So again, subliminal delivery relies on localized domestic grids and everyday technology. We've covered that. Okay, who came in? Okay, three came in the room. Do you guys have your cell phones with you? If you do, please just put it on the ground. And Jenny, you can move closer if you want too, because although you're in the space, but anyway, it's cool. All right, so we're in the era of sacred spaces, and I think I've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay, so we better do our demo. All right, so we've had a few minutes to be outside of the holographic space. I intentionally set this room up with the holograms in the lower plane. You can't really see them because they're hiding. There's one up there, but they're about a foot above the ground. Okay, so your cell phones are down below you in this other realm. Okay, call it dark space. No, just kidding. But there's a lot of things I haven't even gone into this. Let's just get to the demo. So, let's see. Jenny, you've got your cell phone with you? Yeah. Okay, but it's on the ground? Okay, cool. Bobby, can you do that? Okay. So I'm going to say for those of you that do not have holograms on your cell phone, on the count of 3, I want you to reach down and pick it up and hold it up about head height. Okay? Everybody's with me? All right. So 1, 2. Oh, it's in her bag. Okay. We'll wait. But it's on the floor. It's okay. You can pick up the whole bag. No, then she'd have to, it would be an exercise thing. That would be bad. And our new arrival, do you have your cell phone with you? Yes. Do you have my holograms on your cell phone? I think. Oh, okay, they're in your drawer at home. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, but I'm not on your cell phone. Okay, cool. Put your cell phone on the ground, please. And then at the count of 3, we're going to pick it up. But leave it turned on. What's that? No, take it off airplane mode. I mean, it's still active, but it's turn off airplane mode, but just mute it so it doesn't ring or whatever. The reason why I developed this demo, and you got it. Okay, good. The reason I developed this demo is because, I mean, how many of us have tied strings around our finger, right? And it hurts for a while, but then you don't feel it anymore. Well, is it still doing damage to your finger? Yes. It just, you don't feel it anymore. So with EMF sensitivity, you can tell who's really, there's varying degrees of how people react, but you can tell who's really attracted to it because they want more. It creates an addiction, because what EMF does is it creates an endomorphic response. It puts you into fight or flight mode, right? And that's adrenaline. And that adrenaline is endomorphine excretions inside your body, which is morphine. So you're getting addicted to your own drug. And you just get more, and you get more, and you get more. And a lot of these products that are out on the market, I'm testing them all the time. People say, can you test this thing? I got this new thing for my cell phone. And I'm like, yeah, it's making your environment worse. Makes one thing okay, but it makes another one worse. And the one that it makes worse is the one that's really activating the amygdalas and causing us to have these, mental anguish issues. So, all right, so we've had a couple minutes to get acclimated to the holographic environment right now, which is, I'm not going to go there because that's just a whole other thing. Not yet, but hold it kind of away from your phone. So yeah, that's fine. And we have 2 more people. So the 2 new arrivals, do you guys have cell phones with you? No. No? Okay. All right. Have a seat. And dial into the environment for a minute. I'm going to talk just for a sec. How many more minutes we got? 5 more minutes. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just wing this for everybody that's here. Okay. Okay. So on the count of 3, those who have the cell phones without holograms, pick them up and just hold them up about head height. You don't have to hold it next to your head. Just hold it up for everybody to experience. Sorry? I didn't what? I didn't count? Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3. God, thanks. Thanks, Lisa. I'm just like, oh, God. Can't even do my own demo right. Okay, so the main thing is, what are you feeling right now? Sorry, you had your hand up. What do you? I feel pressure in my head. You feel pressure in your head. I had headaches, and I'm not prone to headaches, and now I know. Okay, so now on the count of 3, and I will count to 3 this time. Pick up the packet of cell phone, the cell phone package that I gave you guys. Okay, and on the count of 3, 1, I want you to put it over the phone. So just anywhere on the phone, doesn't matter. So 1, 2, 3. Did you feel the change in the room? Okay, now we're going to do it. 1, 2, 3, take it off. 1, 2, 3. right? You can actually even hear it, right? You what? High pitched sound. I mean,
like there's a real high pitched buzzing.
Yeah.
That's moving, and then you put this on, and it sort of slows down and neutralizes. That's
Okay.
what I felt.
So now put it back on. Now put your thing back on the phone again. Now, who can still hear the buzzing? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, but you don't have your cell phone. Who has their cell phone that they can still hear the buzzing? You can't. Well, you don't have your phone right here with you. You're looking at everybody else. Yeah, because it's all right. That's going to be a little difficult. But all right. So everybody has the package on their cell phones right now. Okay. Did any of you who can still hear the buzzing come to me with your cell phone up at our table afterwards, right? Because there are varying degrees of sensitivity, and it may require another layer of a hologram on your phone to do, to neutralize it. Yeah.
I took it off and I plugged my ear.
Yep.
And I could hear the buzzing.
Okay.
Put it back on, plug my ear, and it was gone.
Okay, so it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, I'm just saying, it's easier to tell the difference.
With that. Yeah, no, I've had one individual where we had to add another 2 holograms to his phone because he was so sensitive he could hear the buzzing of the EMF. And when we put that next layer on, it didn't. Are you waving or are you asking a question?
I'm just going to give you some feedback.
Oh, okay, good. Feedback. Feedback's good because we got like 1 minute.
This is what I doused on it, and they said for my phone, because I don't hear it, what level is it changing it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's at 80%.
Okay. All right, so come by my thing and you can douse it, and we'll put another couple layers on there and see, because again, it depends on the phone, and because the antenna systems are all different, but also it depends on your level of sensitivity, right? So, all right, I basically covered it. I think we're good.
What are the boxes for?
You said what?
What are the boxes for?
Oh, they're just setting the environment.
Well,
Oh, well, we'll have to do that at my desk. Yes, ma'am. No.
and what else would you tell a board owner to protect ourselves?
Well, I didn't cover this. Sorry, I didn't even cover the anatomy of the cell phone. Okay, in our system, everything's expandable. So it starts with your cell phone, then you go to your car, then you go to your computer, then you go to your your laptops. Your flat screen TVs are really bad, right? That's why we have the holographic system on this, right? It's expandable. Then we have sacred space, which is your bedroom. Your bedroom is your most important place in the house. So if you just took your bedroom, sacred space, and one more hologram large like this and put it on your smart meter, which I don't think I have a picture here, do I?
I have all that at my home.
Okay.
And I just traded cars for a Ford
And it's
months ago.
okay.
And I drove 6 hours and I was exhausted.
Yes.
And I just didn't put
Yeah, and because you just got a brand new Ford.
Yes.
And you're swimming in it. I have a 1999 Explorer for a good reason.
Well,
Right.
I traded off in 2013.
Yeah, you would have been better off keeping it from an EFS standpoint. But we need to douse and strategically place, new set of holograms on there. So you're here the whole weekend, right?
Pardon?
You're here this whole weekend.
Yes.
Okay, me too. So we'll get you hooked up. Yeah, and then you will notice a difference. It won't put you to sleep anymore. Yeah.
I can do a $15 drive.
Yeah, you've done it quite a few times.
Done it.
Yeah. No, I had my brother was constantly going to sleep in a Prius, and because it was his it was his girlfriend's car, and we hologrammed him up, and he was alert because it can transform the EMF. So if we do it right, which we do, then your environment actually starts generating beneficial forms of that energy. It flips it. In other words, it creates like a noise cancellation headphone, so that when you neutralize the bad coming in, it's not affecting you, right? So it just creates a counterwave to neutralize that. So and you've experienced it because you have it in your house and bed and all that stuff. Let's see, was there? I think I'm all out of time, aren't I? Any other questions? What about solar panels? It's not the solar panel that's the problem, it's the inverter. So yeah. And again, we practice avoidance and transformation, right? So like I have one of those mesh screens on my smart meter. It didn't change any of the dowsing aspect of it, but it might keep your pacemaker working when it comes near it, because it will shut down your pacemaker within 15 feet. So the have to be later. Sorry. Okay, thank you.